And we're back with another episode of CAS Minute. And today we're going to talk about how to build a consistent client communication cadence. Where do you start with that? What points do you need to emphasize how and when and where you're communicating? And throughout the entire client experience, how do you develop the right expectations for your clients? So, first, I believe it's tremendously important in the sales process to clearly articulate how you communicate with your clients, how they should expect to receive communication from you. And so, as much as we possibly can, we want to ensure that we're telling our clients in the sales process, here is how we do things. The very worst case scenario is that they are the ones dictating the communication cadence, that they are the ones reaching out for information, rather than us as service providers proactively communicating what our needs are, what our requests look like, business updates, and or month-end close reporting. So first, we need to understand what is the right cadence to have? How do you define that? How do you think about that? There are a few elements that go into communicating with clients. The first one's going to be on that front end of onboarding, setting the tone. You're reiterating what you communicated in the sales process and defining how you communicate with your clients. So here is the system that we use for data gathering, for document receipt. Here's the system that we'll use for ongoing communications. Maybe that's email, maybe that's Slack. But you want to make sure that you have that really narrowly defined for your clients so that they know how to communicate back to you. So once you have a definition around what are the communication vehicles, what are the cadences that you set up during onboarding, you now have a really good starting point for your client understanding what's going to happen next. So, for example, in the onboarding process, if you say, hey, we're going to have 6 meetings during the next 3 months, here's what those meetings are about. Here are the anticipated outcomes of those meetings. That already sets you up for success. But if you can tack on to that, here's how we're going to communicate with you. After we have this Zoom meeting, we will follow up with a Loom video on what we accomplished as we set out for in that meeting. So they can then expect a Loom video on what you went over during that meeting. This just really helps instill a high degree of connectivity to your clients that they may not feel if you're in the background doing a bunch of work and they don't really know what's going on. So definitely set up a regular schedule for that. There are really 4 different types of client communications that you want to be thinking about. One, you've got the routine updates. You've got the routine financial requests, the financial deliverables, things like that you want to have a rudimentary schedule built out for. Here's when you can expect these types of updates. The next type of communication is strategic discussions. When do you have those periodic meetings to zoom out, to look at those broader business goals, challenges, and opportunities? These, I believe, should be incorporated into your statement of work, saying on a monthly or quarterly basis, maybe more often than that if you're a CFO, having these strategic discussions with your clients, but also making sure that they're scheduled. The ad hoc meetings can be really challenging to manage when you're managing a team. There are also the more client success-oriented communications. So how do you gather feedback and how do you check in with your clients to understand what's working well? How satisfied are they? What are areas of improvement for you? So if you can have this type of regular check-in and your client knows where it's coming from and when to expect it, you're likely going to get a higher feedback score or a higher ratio of people who actually fill out a survey or whatever communication is going out when they know when to expect that. The last element is just thinking about how do you educate your clients. Are there industry updates? Are there best practices? Are there thought leadership items that could add value to your clients? Those may come through the form of a newsletter that's shared on a monthly basis or a weekly basis, webinars, white papers. But you also want to have a communication cadence that they can expect relative to that. So you've got the ongoing work that's happening, the strategic work that's happening. Then you've got these other ancillary communications with customer success, with education that do need to be communicated to a client up front. Now, there are a few ways that you can manage these communications, a lot of tools, a lot of technology that can help. So first, CRM. Have a CRM stood up so you can track client interactions, you can schedule follow-ups and maintain detailed records on all of these happening so that your team can have access to up-to-date information on what's been communicated. Of course, you've got automated communication tools for email marketing and for template creation to streamline some of that routine communication. And then you've got your workflow management platform. Ideally, you're utilizing a platform for those requests like document delivery and things like that. At the end of the day, it is tremendously important to have a process outlined for this, documented so your team knows what's happening, and then communicated to your client before you start onboarding. I hope that's helpful. Till next time.